We are on the march. The empire is on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Thank you for joining us. We are live, 27th day of July, 2010. Let's go ahead and get into the top stories. Ahmadinejad says he expects the U.S. to attack Mideast soon. He said this in a televised address. Iran expects the United States to launch a military strike on at least 2 countries in the Middle East in the next 3 months. Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad told state-run Press TV. In an interview recorded on Monday, Ahmadinejad did not specify whether he thought Iran itself would be attacked, nor did he say what intelligence led him to expect such a move. Well, maybe it's the former CIA director, Hayden, saying that they're going to attack. Maybe it's the Israeli leader, Benjamin Netanyahu, coming out and saying that. Maybe it's the fact that that's been all over U.S., British, and European newspapers in the last month, and U.S. aircraft carriers and other fleets are massing, and bunker-busting weapons have been publicly moved into Diego Garcia. Maybe that's why Ahmadinejad thinks that. And, of course, they're also massing troops in and around Venezuela. The United States and Israel have refused to rule out military action against Iran's nuclear program that they fear could lead to it making a bomb, something Iran denies. Continuing, they have decided to attack at least 2 countries in the region in the next 3 months, Ahmadinejad said in excerpts broadcast on the Rolling News channel on Tuesday. Israel, which refuses to confirm or deny the existence of its own nuclear arsenal, has a history of preemptive strikes against suspected nuclear targets. In 1981, it destroyed Iraq's only nuclear reactor, and in 2007 bombed a suspected site in Syria. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has called the prospect of a nuclear-armed Iran the ultimate terrorist threat. His deputy, Moshe Yaalon, has said Israel has improved military capability, which could be used against its foes in Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, or Iran. So this is extremely serious, what we're dealing with here. Let's get exactly what the state-run Press TV had to say in their interview with the president of Iran. Headline, U.S. Psych war plan includes 2 hot wars, or physical wars. The Iranian president says the United States and Israel plan to attack 2 countries in the Middle East as part of a conspiracy to apply pressure on Iran. We have precise information the Americans have devised a plot according to which they seek to launch a psychological war on Iran, Ahmadinejad stated in an exclusive interview with Press TV on Monday. They plan to attack at least 2 countries in the region within the next 3 months, he added. He said the U.S. seeks to achieve 2 main objectives with the scheme. First of all, they want to hamper Iran's progress and development since they are opposed to our growth. And secondarily, they want to save the Zionist regime because it has reached a dead end, and the Zionists believe they can be saved through a military confrontation, he went on to say. He also advised U.S. President Barack Obama not to follow the policies of George W. Bush. In addition, he warned Russian officials to avoid playing into the hands of Washington because that would go against their national interest. Commenting on the nuclear issue, Ahmadinejad said Iran will resume nuclear talks with the West in September, adding that Iran wants Turkey, Brazil to participate in the negotiations. You notice everything is heating up, and what did Wayne Madsen say here yesterday? He thinks there's a good chance they're going to strike in the next 3 months. That's what Tarpley's saying. That's basically what the White House has been alluding to. And so right now they are preparing to strike Iran. And the consequences of this run from bad to worse. But here's Bloomberg's headline. North Korea warns of nuclear response to naval exercises. North Korea said it would counter U.S. and South Korean joint naval exercise with nuclear deterrence after the Obama administration said that the government in Pyongyang shouldn't take any provocative steps. North Korea will, quote, legitimately counter their powerful nuclear deterrence, the largest ever nuclear war exercise to be staged by the U.S. and South Korea puppet forces. The National Defense Council said, according to North Korean Central News Agency, the maneuvers, which involve 20 vessels and 200 aircraft from the U.S. and South Korea, pose a threat to the country's sovereignty and security. Ri Tong-il, an official with North Korea's delegation to the Asian Security Forum told reporters in Hanoi yesterday. And it just goes on from there. Continuing along this line, Hugo Chavez threatens to cut off oil to the United States in Colombia dispute because there are U.S. forces massing in the surrounding areas and in the ocean off their coast. Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez threatened to cut oil supplies to the United States in case of a military attack from Colombia as the dispute escalated over charges his country harbors Colombian rebels. A vocal and frequent critic of the United States, Chavez broke off diplomatic relations with Colombia last week over the claims by the outgoing government of President Alvaro Uribe, a close ally of the United States. If there was an armed aggression against Venezuela, Chavez said, from Colombian territory or from elsewhere, promoted by the Yankee Empire, we would suspend oil shipments to the United States even if we have to eat stones here, he said. We would not send a drop more, they supply about 25% of our oil, to U.S. refineries, he said, to a roar of approval from thousands of supporters at a rally for his Socialist Party. Meanwhile, the new British Prime Minister calls the Gaza Strip a prison camp, and that's gotten angry responses from Israel. Speaking of oil, BP oil spill cleanup crews can't find crude in the Gulf. As the size of the slick shrinks, experts say oil is breaking up, staying below the surface. Well, I mean, why is it breaking up? Why is it staying below the surface? Because they've sprayed 40-plus million gallons of different dispersants like Core Exit on it. And all of the experts have said this is much worse than just letting the oil float around and even come into shore, because it's releasing the methane from the oil, it's sending it underwater, it's causing even more devastation to the Gulf ecosystem and is creating giant dead zones. So that's the news on that front. And it's clear now, it's all over the news, we reported this a week and a half ago, that there are giant oil leaks in and around in a several-mile area of the original well that they claimed they capped a week and a half ago, and that it simply caused other ruptures deeper down in the ground beneath the surface, and that it's coming out in other areas. And so there's a big cover-up there with the government and BP trying to claim that everything is fixed and that there's other oil wells nearby that are leaking massive amounts of oil, though there are no oil wells in that 2-mile area where there are multiple fissures leaking. I'm going to get more into what this means, having the war drums being beaten louder and louder with more intensity, the sabers not just being rattled, but clearly out of their scabbards with Iran, with Venezuela, with Syria, Lebanon, and other areas, and why the globalists are wanting to move towards war. And it's not because they want to stop Iran from supposedly getting a nuclear weapon. The CIA admits they're nowhere near getting it. They even tried to have Western countries like France and Turkey and then even Brazil to take all their uranium under UN inspection and refine it to a level nowhere near what they need for weapons, because they do want to have their own power supply. People then say, well, they have lots of oil. They only have half the refining capacity, roughly, they need, and import about half their gasoline and diesel. And that's on record. And the West wants to have war with them. 5 years ago, they had a soft line leader, and the UN had said that no one had ever allowed inspections to this level. They totally rolled over. And then the West said, well, now you can't even have peaceful reactors. And so then a hardliner, Ahmadinejad, got put into power. I mean, that's the facts. And, well, I'm going to cover it coming up at the bottom of the hour.